What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. Today, we're excited to check out Liftoff, Get Me Off This Planet from Pencil First Games LLC. This is for 2 to 5 players, ages 13 plus. Will take about 45 minutes to play. And Liftoff, Get Me Off This Planet, you're going to be taking control of a particular color of aliens, trying to get yourself off of a planet before the planet explodes. But it's not going to be as easy as it sounds, because the only way to get off that planet is to go to different liftoff points, which means you're going to need to pay resources in order to get all these different liftoff points so you can get the heck out of there. And you're also going to have to align up the moon in the perfect position to do that, in addition to garglors, controlled by the players, coming around and ruining your day with various different things. It is a lighter weight family game, but is it good? I don't know. Let's open it up and we'll check it out. Alrighty then, we're going to be checking out Liftoff, Get Me Off This Planet from Pencil First Games LLC. First and foremost, we have our handy dandy rule booklet. It is 12 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, and all the stuff you like to see in a well-done rule booklet. This is a family weight game, and this is a great rule booklet that I'll have you up and running in no time at all. And I really do love the fact that they have a full mock example terms with pictures and everything like that. Big thumbs up on the rule booklet. Absolutely very well done. So in Liftoff, Get Me Off This Planet, essentially what you are going to be doing is you're going to be trying to get off of the planet before the planet explodes. Depending on how many players you have, 5, 4, 3, or 2, you're going to have that a set amount of days to try and get your aliens off the planet before the planet explodes. You're going to know that a day is over because you're actually going to be moving this moon like so. And this is going to move every time someone takes a turn. And also, the placement of the moon is going to impact how much it's going to cost you to either launch off the planet, when you can launch off the planet to safety, or how much it's going to cost you to go to a particular spot that can potentially get you off the planet. But that doesn't make much sense now. Let's go over the components and we'll get a little bit of the gameplay and it will make more sense. So let's go over the components. First and foremost, we have a handy dandy little help cheat sheet card. I love when they include these sort of things. It tells you exactly what to do on your turn and exactly what you can do. It's very well done, and the gameplay itself is very simple, so I can probably just show you everything right here and right now. First thing I want to mention is that this is not a set thing. This is completely modular. You'll be able to put in all sorts of different things in here, and the game comes with various different lift-off points. It kind of puts together like a puzzle. It's very eloquent. It's very well done, and it will stay in place pretty much the entire game. So there's going to be two kinds that you're going to have. First, you're going to have these little tubes. These are all very generic, and this is just how you're going to get your little alien meeples, which we'll zoom in on so you can see, off or from the center of the core up to the top. So those are going to be preset. Now you're also going to get what are called liftoff points, and you're going to get, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these liftoff points. These are big and thick and sturdy and chunky, and they're all going to play a little bit differently. Some of them are more complex than others. Some of them are a little bit more of a gamble than others. And I'll just show you one right now. It's pretty simple. So this is a very simple one. This is a satellite. This is one way to get off the planet. Obviously, you're just going to contact your buddies. So in order to get onto this spot, in order to load yourself onto the spot, you're going to have to pay 2 screws. Once 3 people get onto this spot, you will launch on either a full moon, a half moon, or a no moon, whatever the heck that's called. I forget the terminology. So as soon as 3 people have paid their 2 screws to load up there, you're going to be blasted off into space, and you're going to have, essentially a victory point, or 2 victory points, or 3 victory points, however many of your guys are there. This one is called a miracle, and it really is a miracle when you can get this one to work, but essentially you can load yourself up there, and all you're going to have to do is discard 1 action card, and we'll get more into the action cards in a little bit, and then once one of every person's color is on there, you're immediately going to launch off. So you're playing a 2-player game, you just need you and the other person. If you're playing a 5-player game, you need one of everyone to go there, and that's going to be pretty difficult to orchestrate. You might say it would be a miracle. Next, we have the rocket ship. This one can accommodate up to 6 people. And when you go there, you're going to have to give up a gas and a screw. And this is the primary currency in the game. We'll get more to that when we get to the cards. But essentially, it's not going to launch off if there's no moon. It's not going to launch off if there's a half moon. It only launches off if there is a full moon. Now, how does the moon system work? Well, that's a great question. Right now, the full moon would be right here. Right now, the The half moon would be, or the no moon would be right over here, and then right now everything else would be the partial moon. I don't remember the exact name of it, but this is going to go around on every turn. So let's just see. Where's a good example? So right now, let's just pretend that we were ready to launch over here. Let's say we met all the conditions. We had 3 people launched on there. We had everything good to go. The problem is we could not launch because the moon is right above. Same, if it's right here, we also cannot launch. Same with right here, we can't launch because it'd be there. The only time we could launch is if it's all the way over here, and at that point you would just immediately launch and you would get your victory points. It sounds a little bit more complex than it is. It's actually very, very simplistic once you know what's going on. So we went over the meeples. Next we have our mean little Garglor. And Garglor is going to be moved by cards. We'll get more to the cards in a minute. But essentially he's going to be able to move around the board if you play a certain card. And he will just block people from moving. So let's go back to that previous example. Let's say we paid all the goods we have. Everybody over here is ready to launch. And the moon is right over here. Well, the problem is if Garglor is right here, then these guys do not launch. And then once that moves back, they essentially have to wait a long time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more turns until they finally launch, which can kind of stink. So yeah, Garglor is just going to move around and he's just going to kind of tick you off. But he comes into play not as much as you would normally think, unless you play with some of the different variants. You're also going to get 3 custom dice, and these will come into play in various different forms, normally with the different lift-off points. In particular, one of my favorite ones is the Stargate right here, where it's going to cost you 1 action card to stay there, and when the moon gets all the way up to here, you're going to roll this green die, and random things can and will happen. Most of the time, they are going to be bad. Like, you'll have to go to the center of the core, you have to discard all your cards, but sometimes you'll get good stuff, like everybody draws a card, everybody draws 2 cards, or everybody launches off, which is the ideal situation, but most of the time that doesn't happen. So those are some custom dice that you will use with some of the various different lift-off points. Last, let's get to the cards, and then we'll get into a little bit of how the gameplay works. So the gameplay is very simple. One more thing I do want to mention is that they give you a boatload of bags. I don't even know why you need that many bags, because we already have bags for these, but they give you a crap load of bags. So awesome. I love bags. That's not sarcastic. So let's go over the different cards. The obvious ones you're going to see most of the time are going to be either screws, like this, or gas. Or, if you get lucky, you'll get an or. So that means you can use that for either a screw or a gas can. Next, you're going to see lots and lots of action cards. And I'll see if I can draw a couple of them out there. And one thing they do in the rule booklet is they do list all of the different action cards and exactly what they do, so that's very useful. And they list all of the different lift-off points and exactly how they work, so that is incredibly helpful as well. This rule booklet, as I mentioned, really holds your hand through everything. So move the moon. Move the moon 1 spot in either direction. This sounds like a pretty weak card, but it's actually incredibly powerful, because what you can potentially do, I've seen this done a couple times, is if you think you're in the lead, if you think you're going to win the game, you can actually use this at just the right time, if you're lucky enough, to advance the day tracker 1 day, an entire day with 1 turn, which can be a big deal. Terraform, exchange 1 empty liftoff point for a new one. So let's just say something's not getting used, and somebody's not, it's a hard one, like let's say it's the miracle one and you're never going to get everybody over there. Boom, you can exchange it for a new one. That's the move the moon. Move your alien. You're going to be able to use 1 more alien movement point, which can really be incredibly helpful. There's another Terraform. There's another Move the Moon. The Garglor we mentioned. You're going to be able to move Garglor to a liftoff point or the core. So you're going to be able to move him to a different liftoff point, which can potentially really hurt your opponents. Move your alien. Asteroids. All liftoff points are new moon this turn. So that one's really interesting. So if you might not be able to launch based on the new moon, or it might help you out, it might hurt somebody else, who knows. The Electric Storm, this was the least favorite card in the game for a lot of people. All players discard all cards. I really hate that one. But as you can see, you're going to get a plentitude of different ones. Supernova, all liftoff points are full moons this turn. So there's going to be tons of different action cards that will do various different things. So let's get into a mock hand so you can see exactly how this is going to work. You start off with a set amount of cards, and then on your turn, you are going to draw 2 cards. Very, very simple. Blue. Blue. I draw 2 cards. What did I get? I was lucky enough to get 2 of these guys right here. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to take as many of these actions as you possibly can. So you can move an alien 2 spaces. That means you can either move 1 alien 2 spaces or 2 aliens 1 space. And how you move the spaces is just 1, 2. Skip Madoo. I'm done. That would be what I would do. You can also go 1, 1. So movement, very simple. You're just going to move 2 spaces. Next, you can play action cards. So these action cards in my hand, if I wanted to, I could move the Gargler. Really not going to have too much impact on the game right now, so I'd probably save that card. Exchange 1 empty liftoff point for a new one. So let's just say there's one of these that I really don't like, that I don't think is going to get used, or I don't think it's going to help me because I don't think it's going to work. Then I could immediately do that. So that would be nice as well. The next action you can take is you can pay liftoff costs. What's that mean? So let's just pretend that I did this. Let's say I went 1, 2, and I'm at the Stargate. However, until you pay the liftoff cost to actually get onto it, you stay laying down. So, as one of my actions, it's an action I can take as many times as I want. You know what? I don't think this Gargler is going to come in handy, so I might discard this Gargler, which means now I'm going to stand up. And once you've stood up, and you actually put the card down here, excuse me. Once you've stood up, that now means that you were prepared to launch off or do whatever is going to happen in the Stargate's particular scenario. So when you're laying down, that means you're not ready to lift off. When you are face up, that means that you have paid the cost and you are ready to lift off. The final action you can take is you can trade 2 cards for 1. So essentially you can just get rid of 2 of your cards and you can draw a new card. Very, very simple. But anywho, once you're done with your actions, let's go ahead and move on to the next player. You move the moon 1 space, and you rinse, wash, and repeat. You're going to be taking 2 actions, playing 2 different moon cards, trying to launch all of your guys off. Once you get all the way up to here, you're going to move the day tracker 1 space, and eventually, once you'll get to here, the core and the planet will eventually just completely explode. The game will be over. Whoever has the most little meeples is going to be the winner of the game. So yes, if there is a tie, what's going to happen is whoever has the most meeples that they have gotten off the planet successfully, I should mention that, and also whoever has the most resource cards in hand will be the winner of the game, and if there's still a tie then it is a shared victory. But that, in a nutshell, is how Liftoff, Get Me Off This Planet, is played. Oh, great dokery. Liftoff, Get Me Off This Planet from Pencil First Games LLC. What are my final thoughts? Let's go to the pros, let's go to the cons. First, on the con side, the game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. This is on the lighter side. I put it on the Ticket to Ride Kingsburg X complexity. So if you don't really have room for that sort of lighter game, then this one might not be for you. Also, some of the cards are really annoying. Some of them really are super annoying. Like there's cards that'll just randomly make everybody discard their cards, or when you have the Stargate out, you roll the die and it just says everybody discards your cards. And especially if you're trying to save up things so you can get a particular lift-off point, that can be particularly annoying. And some people are really not going to like that. However, there are variants in there that will fix some of those things. Some of the lift-off points seem better or worse than other ones. Some of them you'd look at it and be like, man, that's going to be really difficult for that to happen, just because, like the Miracle, for example, in a 5-player game, that Miracle is seldom going to happen because just most people will be like, all right, there's 4 people there. It's really not particularly in my best interest to get on that liftoff point because then everybody's going to gain a point, and everybody's already paid a card to get up there, so why would I possibly do that? It just seems like it's not in your best interest for some of them. Some of them seem better than the others, but luckily they come with 10 of them, so you can easily mix and match the ones that you like. I'm really drawing a blank here. There's not too much in this box to not like. The biggest thing is if you're not in the market for a lighter weight family game or a 45-minute to an hour game night game, that's the biggest con that I have against this game. That is, if you're not looking for one of those games, you're not going to be interested in this game, most likely. Moving on to the pros, though. Liftoff, Get Me Off This Planet. I got a chance to try it last year at Gen Con. I was a huge fan of it, and I still am now with the final version. There's a lot of different reasons why. First and foremost, component-wise, this is a very nicely made game. Fantastic artwork that just pops. It's vivid, and I try not to focus on artwork too much because it is a very subjective thing, but I really enjoyed the artwork on the game. There's a small sense of humor in this game that comes across, and I like that as well. But component-wise, fantastic components. The puzzle system with how everything puts together is very, very well done. They went through, I think, Panda Games on that. I wish that the liftoff tiles would have been double-sided. That is one thing that I wish would have happened. I think that was maybe like a stretch goal that they didn't hit. But maybe in a future version of the game if it sells really well. Who knows? Because I want more of those tiles because I really like those tiles. They really give each game its own unique flavor and twist, and I like that an awful lot. I like the fact that it accommodates up to 5 players, and it plays well at 2 players. It plays well at 5 players. They are different experiences though, but not too terribly drastically. I like the fact that the Garglor really doesn't come into play as much as you think it will. A lot of the time, people are just going to discard those cards. Just to maybe get on a liftoff point or something like that. It seems like it's going to be a big deal, but it really isn't that big of a deal because normally they just go back to the core once you get to the new moon or whatever it is at the very, very top. I feel like the game doesn't last too long. You are doing the same thing over and over and over again, which I guess is a con to some people, but the game doesn't really outstay its welcome, which is something that I do appreciate. So I talked about the components. Rule booklet, very, very well done rule booklet. Everything you like to see in a good rule booklet is in this rule booklet. It's simple, it's easy to understand. They have like an entire page that is just like this play example, and then the play example they have pictures and all this stuff, and it's very well done. Just overall, I'm going to put it like this. It's very, very simple. If you were in the market for a lighter weight game night game that accommodates up to 5 players, or if you were in the market for a family game, this is a no-brainer. Liftoff Get Me Off This Planet is going to be on my shelf for a very, very long time because I love family games and I love these lighter weight game night style games, and this one is a real crowd pleaser. Highly recommended. That is Liftoff Get Me Off This Planet from Pencil First Games, LLC. If you enjoyed this content, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below, and in the comments below, let me know, would you like to be an alien? Me personally, I don't think I would, but that's the same reason why I don't think I'd like to be anything aside from American. I think it's just because I just have this American human viewpoint. It's like, man, being a human is pretty sweet. But who knows, maybe being an alien is even better. What do you think? Do you think aliens are real? That's an even better question. Of course they're real. The galaxy is gigantic. But in the comments below, let me know. What are your thoughts on aliens? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.
That was the review for Liftoff Get Me Off This Planet. For more reviews and previews, check back at Bowers Game Corner. Ah!